Now, we all know that Tesla has had a rough year. And as we sit here today, it just got much, much worse. This week, a judge in California issued a ruling allowing a class action to move forward against Tesla in regards to Tesla's self-driving claims. A separate class action in Maryland was issued against Elon Musk and is also allowed to move forward regarding Musk's involvement in the government agency USAID. Something we aren't going to discuss in this video, but I did think it was important to note because it really drives home the fact that Elon Musk has had a really bad last couple of weeks. And last but not least, a judge ruled against Tesla earlier this month, deeming Tesla partially liable for a 2019 car crash involving a Model S on autopilot, and thus Tesla is liable to pay $243 million to the victims. And this is bad for a variety of different reasons. Let's first talk about that 2019 crash that earlier this month Tesla was found partially liable for, and thus they have to pay $243 million. On April 25, 2019, George McGee was driving his 2019 Tesla Model S at 62 miles per hour, with autopilot engaged. Allegedly, the driver of the car, George McGee, reached down to grab his phone as he approached a T intersection with autopilot enabled, and the car plowed through the intersection, killing a pedestrian. Now, this is far from the first time that a vehicle has been involved in an accident with autopilot engaged, whether that accident be fatal or not. And according to the Washington Post, between 2019 and 2023, there were 736 accidents that took place with autopilot engaged, and of those, 17 were fatal. However, this is the first case of its kind involving an accident with autopilot where the case actually went to trial and was able to be determined by a jury. All other ones had been settled or dropped outside of court, and this is where a jury found Tesla partially liable and thus that $243 million judgment. Now, it is important to note that the driver of this vehicle was also deemed partially responsible, and they did have to pay the victims' families, which was done separately out of court. Now, $243 million is a lot of money, even for Tesla, but the issue here isn't so much about the amount of money that Tesla now has to pay. It is instead the precedent that this sets. And it is the precedent that not only can Tesla be held liable, but they should be held liable for accidents that take place with autopilot or full self-driving engaged. Which brings us to this class action. As I mentioned earlier, a California judge issued a ruling this week allowing for a class action lawsuit to move forward against Tesla and their self-driving claims. Now, I of course do want to talk about what the basis of this lawsuit is and what this court case is claiming. But first, I want to talk about the significance of the class action classification here and what this ultimately means for the victims, but also Tesla. The difference between a class action lawsuit and a normal lawsuit is that a class action is when a bunch of victims and cases can be clumped into one, while your normal lawsuit has to be viewed on a victim-by-victim and case-by-case basis. In order for a case to be known as a class action, it must first meet a set of criteria, which is known as the prerequisite for class certification. And this includes numerosity, commonality, typicality, and adequacy of representation, which, as someone who is not a lawyer, this can be summed up sort of as saying that in the case of this lawsuit, there are so many victims and their cases are so similar that the only way to responsibly try this case and get the justice that is deserved is to put them all into one class and trial them at the same time, basically as one unit. Now, obviously, this is an oversimplification, but as I said, I'm not a lawyer. Now, why a class action is super important in the context of this is because it will force what is being claimed to come to light, and Tesla will, as a byproduct, be forced to defend it. But from the perspective of the people that are suing or the plaintiff, it makes suing Tesla significantly easier, and thus receiving a potential settlement or payout much, much easier. Because with the class action, you yourself are not going to have to hire a lawyer, pay court fees, etc., because you're part of a class. Now, this is not the first time that Tesla's been sued, nor is it the first time that they've had a class action brought against them. But in the past, Tesla has a pretty decent track record of dropping class actions down to regular lawsuits, basically stopping lawsuits from becoming class actions. However, in this California lawsuit, this was not the case, and a judge deemed that there was enough evidence and pieces of criteria that had been met to deem this a class action lawsuit, and thus it is going to be moving forward. Now, this class action that has been filed has two subclasses. The first one covers California residences who purchased the full self-driving package between October 16th and May 2017. The second covers full self-driving owners who opted out of Tesla's arbitration agreement between mid-2017 and mid-2024. And in simple terms, both of these lawsuits are claiming that while Tesla and Elon Musk have been promoting things like autopilot, full self-driving, or the ability for full 100% self-driving cars in the future, this has just simply not been the case. And this has either led to customers buying things like the full self-driving package with the hope that they can actually have their car drive itself, with that promise ultimately never coming to fruition, or it's led to people like George McGee, who we mentioned earlier with that 2019 crash, who use autopilot, rely on it too heavily, and thus it causes a crash, or at least contributes to it. And this is something that not only have I talked about on my channel a ton, but so have so many other news outlets and creators as well. Tesla and Elon Musk have been claiming that true full self-driving has been coming forever.
The car next year will probably be 90% capable of autopilot, like so 90% of your miles could be on auto. We're probably only a month away from having autonomous driving, at least for highways and for relatively simple roads. The Model S and Model X at this point can drive autonomously with greater safety than a person right now. We're still on track for being able to go cross-country from LA to New York by the end of the year, fully autonomous. But next year, for sure, we'll have over 1 million robo-taxis on the road. I'm extremely confident of achieving full autonomy and releasing it to the Tesla customer base next year. When do you think Tesla will solve level 4 FSD? I mean, it's looking quite likely that it will be next year.
And not only Elon's blatant unfulfilled claims, but claims on Tesla's own website, Tesla video footage edited to make autopilot look better than it is. There is a claim that Tesla has made false and unfulfilled promises regarding autopilot, full self-driving, and their capabilities, and 2, Tesla marketing is deceptive and misrepresenting these capabilities. Now, on top of damages, these lawsuits are also seeking to stop Tesla from making these types of claims in the future. And I gotta say that this is huge. And what this does and what it will continue to do is open the floodgates for this type of lawsuit to move forward, but also for future lawsuits to be filed against the company as well. It sets a huge precedent moving forward. For people who maybe bought full self-driving and are unhappy with it, people who had autopilot engaged and then were involved in accidents, the list goes on and on. But it may also finally hold Tesla and Elon Musk responsible for this blatant misrepresentation. As I said, I've talked about this many times in the past, but Elon Musk is blatantly lying whenever it comes to the discussions around full self-driving cars. And truthfully, I'm not sure how this hasn't been considered fraud and market manipulation on a mass level, and how Elon hasn't been held responsible in the past. The truth is, Tesla and Elon Musk have been towing a deceptive line for a very long time. And if you ask me, this didn't happen soon enough. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.